This is Rick Ginn on Flip with Rick. I know I've been out for a while, but I am here. And today we are talking all about vacant land. I'm actually really excited to you because not only am I going to show you how to do wholesale vacant land, and I'm going to show you how to do it 100% for free. I'm going to show you a little trick that I've used for a long time. It's a little bit more advanced, but it's going to give you tools so you can easily find the hottest market in today's market. Not yesterday, not 2021, 22. Let's talk about what's working right now. We're talking about land deals. And people always say, Rick, is land so much different in wholesaling houses? Here's the secret. It's actually easier. Now, the margins are a little bit smaller, and most people like to do it virtually because there's only so much land in each town. And let's talk about the benefits of doing land first. And then I'm going to narrow this down. I'm going to show you how to find the deals. And I'm going to show you how to actually you got to find where the demand is, because we match up product with demand. That's what we do. That's what a wholesaler is. You can only do that by marketing. So the first thing you have to understand is, where is the demand location? Now, I'm going to save this to the last because I have a hack for you that's going to save you a lot of time and energy, and you don't have to even pay for it. It's absolutely free. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I've been using it actually 15 years. That's the crazy part, and it's still there. So I don't think it's going to change. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, first and foremost, what is the difference between doing land and houses? It's simple, guys. One has a piece of house on a piece of dirt, and one's just a piece of dirt. That's it. Send your $3,000. I just saved you a fortune. That's it. And the difference is, that's it. That's the only difference. Now, why is it so perfect? I've already told you right off the bat. Think about this for a second. It's absolutely perfect for virtual wholesaling. Why? You don't have to do any type of inspections. There's no tenants in there. The properties are so easy because they're vacant. And that's the attractive part of doing vacant land. And then you guys doing single family houses, tenants are a pain in the butt. Homeowners are a pain in the butt. Vacant houses are sometimes a pain in the butt because you got to get a key. You got to get inside. You don't have to deal with that. Number two, we talked about no inspections. My God, this is huge. You don't have to walk your cash buyers through. You don't have to get some complicated home inspection report. It's the land. And here's the key is, you don't underwrite the land. It's not even your problem. You're just going to put it under contract, let them do their due diligence and see if they want to move forward with it. There's no tenants. My God, if you deal with enough tenants, you'll figure this out. Homeowners, renters, landlords, everybody, you don't have this problem nearly as much as you do in single family houses. Every contract you do, the method I teach you today, it's assignable. Well, how is that powerful to you? Because if you're broke and you have no money, I'm going to give you a strategy where you can put a property under contract, a vacant piece of land below value, and you can sell it near or just below market value and make a beautiful spread on it. Why? Number one, here's the beauty part of this. 95% of land past the commercial development part is cash. It's cash. Why is that important to you? Number one, because you just got to find the cash buyers. And number two, it moves really fast. And number three, when you get rid of banks, everything is easier. Banks are a pain in the butt. They only give loans to people that don't need loans. And the people that really need loans, you're never going to get one. Ask me how I know this. I've been doing this 21 years. That's the reality of the situation. Now, my favorite part of land, are you ready for this? The biggest difference I find between vacant land and single family houses. You ready? There's less emotional attachment to land. People will say, oh, I grew up on this piece of land. I love this piece of land. I'm emotionally, they don't care. Honestly, it comes down to a number in their head. And if you check it off their box, they will sell it quickly. They never want to see you. They don't care. You wire them the cash. You go through the title company and you get your assignment fee. Now, the only down part about vacant land is that the fees are usually a little bit less and it's harder to value it. But I'm here to tell you, I'm going to simplify the process because trying to figure out a value of a piece of land is the wrong way to think about it. And I'm going to tell you why. So let me bring you... Well, let's cover another real basic here. Finding buyers. There's only two types of buyers when it comes to land. It can be raw land, semi-developed land. It could have utilities on it. Number one, they're developers. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. They're a pain in the butt. And if you don't have a reputation of dealing with developers, 9 times out of 10, they don't want to deal with you. It doesn't mean you can't sell to developers, but they are typically looking to pounce on wholesalers that just start on this. Why? They're going to have very long, lengthy contracts. They won't accept your contract. And they're going to tell you you have to actually own the property before you can sell it to them, meaning you can't do an assignment of contract. And honestly, they're professional buyers and they know how to manipulate you and drag you out. I've had developers drag me out for over a year. And I want to teach you the method where you get in and you get out all less than 30 days. That's the beauty of doing it. Developers, you're not going to get that benefit. So I'm going to actually teach you now. A small developer, if the guy's building 3 or 4 spec homes, perfect. I'm talking about, well, I'm not going to use companies' names because I'll probably get a cease and desist order as usual. So, the big builders, you know what I'm talking about. You can put them in the comments if you want. I'm not going to say it. Now, my favorite one are just what I call regular cash buyers or individuals. People that just fund it with their cash. Maybe it's a family purchase. Maybe it's an individual contractor. Find me a piece of land. I'll build you a property on it. They will typically pay you the most, and they don't care if it's assignable or not. And honestly, you want them assignable. Why? Because you don't have any money and you don't want to buy the property yourself. So you want to make it assignable. And that's the beauty of finding these types of cash buyers. Now, I want you to also understand this. Well, Rick, if there's no inspections, how does the contract part work? Because I'm a little confused to it. It's actually very simple. You put it under contract. Now, when I say inspections, it's you don't have to go through an inspection because it's just raw land and Mother Nature made it. And so unless they have some sort of environmental issue, which your buyer will do the due diligence for you don't do it, then you don't have to go through that. And what I always recommend to everyone is the minimum inspection period you want is 30 days. And that's usually the most you're going to get on single family homes. On vacant land, people don't really care too much. And remember, it's cash. So I have between a 30 and a 90-day inspection period minimum. Why? It's raw land. You got to and the more unique the land is, the more time you needed it. If it's an infill lot, which means basically it's the last one being developed in the area, then you could probably sell it very, very fast. But I'm here to tell you, you're going to have a long inspection period. Why? Because you need time to go out to find one of these buyers. And if you write a 2-week inspection period and you don't have a cash buyers list and you just started it, it's going to be problematic. So shoot for 90 and don't settle for anything less than 30, because selling a raw piece of vacant land, if you have no experience in under 30 days, it's doable, but it's much more challenging. I prefer you have 45, 60, 90 days. Heck, I've gotten as long as 180 days, depending on what type of project it is. So this is the easy part, guys. Now, before we get into it, you've got to understand the similarities between doing single family houses and doing vacant lands. The same principle exists. If you can't buy it at a discounted rate, you're just a regular retail buyer. So unless you want to go buy and spend millions and millions of dollars and tie up properties and land bank it for 10, 20 years, that's not what we do here. So the first thing we have to do, you have to seek their motivation. Why? Because the reality is I have the same mindset when I deal with single family and vacant land. If they are not motivated to sell, I don't want to spend time with you. It doesn't mean you can't put a deal together, but I don't want you scrimping to make $500 or $1,000 to call somebody 36 times to get them to sell you your vacant piece of land. In my experience, either people, sometimes they want to sell it or they don't. They're not nearly as emotionally attached to single family homes. And I love that part, but this is somewhat of a volume game. You got to find someone that just wants, okay, sometimes you just hit them at the right time and they want to sell it. So you are going to apply the exact same rules you do to single family houses, meaning if they're not motivated to sell, it means you have to talk them into it. You're probably not going to get a very good deal and you're going to waste your time. Nobody wants to work for free. So it's so important you get the right price up front. How do you do that? It's real simple. You got to look at people's want versus their need to sell. Everybody wants to sell. Everybody, 100%. You've got to go in deeper and find out the ones that need to sell. Hey, listen, I really need to sell this property. I haven't paid the taxes in the last 3 years and the city's kind of beating me up. And honestly, I just need to move on. It's starting to stress me out. That's someone I'm going to go all in on. So many of you are out there trying to do raw land like you're realtors. I don't know about you, but unless you want to be a realtor, wholesaling vacant land, you got to find some sort of motivation. Sometimes people just want to sell it. It's okay. I've owned a piece of land for 12 years and I sold it for the exact same price I buy it because it just didn't go up. And that's the weird thing about vacant land. There's no true zestimate for it. So you do have some opportunities to make some quick cash. The secret is having a robust cash buyers list so you can find cash buyers to take advantage of the anomalies that vacant land presents you, because it's much harder to value vacant land. So guys, I'm going to get to your questions. Just keep putting them in there. I promise I'm going to get to it. Now, I want you to understand this. So we got to look at the want versus the need. I always look at this part. And if you skip this in vacant land, you're going to waste your time, because somebody who wants tippy top dollar for their land, I'm probably not going to be your best buyer for it. And I just tell people that up front. Why? If someone wants to sell it this month and they've committed to selling it, we just got to find a number. But I can't stand when people in land, we get this all the time. Well, how much you going to offer for me? If the price is right, I'll take it. I don't play the prices right. Bob Barker is not my friend in wholesaling, and he shouldn't be your friend either. Although I think the guy's still alive. He's amazing with what he does, but he has no place in wholesaling. Don't play the Bob Barker. If the price is right, it doesn't work. That's it. So let's dive into the two most important features you need to understand. And number one, you need to know how to value these deals. So we have to locate demand, right? So I don't care where you are. You can be in San Francisco, New York, Florida, Utah, Knoxville. You have the entire country to roam. I am never confined to my backyards. Some of the worst land deals are in Florida right now because it's very overpriced. So I don't do as much in Florida. I'll do some speculative builds that I have like a 7 to 10 year outflow, but that's not wholesaling land. When you buy land and hold it, it is not wholesaling land. It's buy on it, sit on it, and pray to God it goes up in value. Eventually it'll go up in value. The question is it going to be 3 years or is it going to be 30 years? And that's where you guys cannot play. So how do we find demand location? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you a simple hack, and I'm going back old school because you know I've been doing this a long time. There is this little known technique, a company called CoreLogic. Now, before we had PropStream and Batch and all these wonderful companies, which honestly, you guys don't know how good you have it. I have to use the list source. So what I'm going to do is I still use list source to verify data, and I still buy lists from them. I know you think I'm crazy, but I've been in this business a long time. There's certain things that CoreLogic does that no other company does. And I want to go ahead and share it with you guys with your permission. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully you guys can see that. And I'm going to keep moving here. So this is list source. Don't worry. You can go in and open up your free account. There's no cost to it. And I'm going to show you the hack so you don't have to pay anything. Now, what we're going to do is we're not actually getting leads from this. We're getting data. Why do you want the data? Because we want to find out where the best demand is. So I'm going to take a random state here. Hold on. Okay, you guys. So let's just pick. So you guys go in, you can sign up for a free account. Don't give me your credit card because you don't need it. And I believe they still give free accounts out. So I'm going to go down to state. Don't worry, this is recorded. And so this is old school stuff. I know I'm showing my age here, but that's part of the benefit of working with me. I'm just going to grab Tennessee. Good part. Lots of land there, I'm sure. I have no idea. I do invest in Tennessee, but I don't do land over there. Now, let's see. Now, I haven't put any criteria. So if you want to look, this is simple how you do list source. These are your criteria tabs. And you go left to right. So obviously you want to deal with mortgage. So the next one we're going to do is go to property. And then what we want to do is select the criteria type. And I'm going to go down to property type. Let's see here. You see that one? And now what we're going to do right there, see vacant land? We're going to grab that. Now, if you notice on this side, it'll give you a running count. So basically all the vacant land right now gives me about a 49,000 count. So that's just where we're going to start. The next one is we are now going to go back. And under the property there, we are going to do the last, you could do the last market recording date. I prefer last market sale date, LMSD. Now, what we want to do is find someone that's owned the land. I like anyone before 2021 because the prices are substantially higher now. But you can adapt the filter however you want to do it. So what I'm going to do is go in here and put from like 1980. I know a lot of you guys were born after that. It's no big deal. And then what I'll do is go back and change this at least 2 years or maybe even do 2020 or 2021. Why? Because price valuations have really changed then, and there's plenty of opportunity, and you can click add. Now, my list is cut down to 27,000. Now, what I want to do is I want to look in. Now we're looking for demand. That's what you have to understand here. Let me go up here and put this so we don't confuse this. We're talking about demand location. So hopefully that doesn't interfere with the stat on this. Now, what I want to do, you have two choices. You can break this data down and you get as fine as you want. This is about research to find the hottest markets. Now, maybe I got a hunch Tennessee is good. I want to find out where to go. So I'm going to click the last 3 months, or sometimes I do the last 6 months. Now, if a market is dropping, which depending on what part of the country you're in, you can choose 3 months or 6 months. You could even do 12 months, but 12 months, a lot of it's old information. So once I do that, now I know a lot of you are saying, well, Rick, what about the equity percentage? Listen, land is usually paid for in cash. You're kind of wasting your time searching for any type of equity because usually it's just owned with cash or it's deeded over to people. So we have all that in there. And now let me get it thinking here. It dumped me out. Okay, I'll go through this real quick. State, sorry about this. I'll go fast. Tennessee, and then we're going to do property type. Sometimes it doesn't go as planned. This is why you know it's live. And then we're just looking for vacant land. Let's see. So I have 47,000, and then we're going to do the last market sale date. And we are going to do from, let's not go back quite as far. Let's do 1990, and then we'll go back to to 2021. Now I can go back to January 1st stuff. Does it really matter? So roughly 23.5K properties. And then what I'll do is click the last 3 months. Let's see here. Here's what we're going to do. Let's remove this. So we're looking for demand. So let's say remove. We're just going to do the last 3 months. Add. So in the last 3 months, if you look here, 653 properties. Why do you think this is significant? It's not right now. But in the last 3 months, 653 pieces of raw land have sold in the state of Tennessee. But Rick, where do I go? How do I figure it out from there? You're going to go down and click this purchase list. Don't panic. You're not getting charged. And if you never put a credit card in ListSource, they can't charge you. A little secret, let you know. So basically, if you were to buy this list, just so you guys see what a benefit you get with listrei.com and batch and everything, it would cost you $114.85. But wait, there's more. Now what you're going to do is go down to partial list purchase, 653 leads. And what we're going to do is select custom. Here's the really cool part. Check this out. Now you can break it down by county. And if you look on this, it's going to tell you where the biggest trends are in each state in the last 90 days. So if I look at this, if I'm looking in Tennessee, I'm pointing straight to Hamilton. You guys can run over there. I'm just showing you how to do the research on it. Now, a rookie stops here. I like to go deeper. And how do I like to go deeper? You can break it down to city. City's misleading a lot of times, but you see Chattanooga on there. You can break it all down. Knoxville's big, but here's where I really like to go. Get down to the zip code and look at this. You can go extremely pinpoint and find where these properties are. 37421 22. You got 37379 25. I got 30 and 63. And guys, you want to talk about lasering in on trying to find where the properties are located. I don't know much about Tennessee. I think it's pretty cool, but I don't know much. I know it's good weather. It's a popular place to live, and a lot of people are migrating to me. I could go through all 50 states and do this. I'm trying to give you guys the tools so you can do this yourself. And I want you to understand. Let me remove this. You can do this with any county, like any state, and just break it down. So I always start at the macro and just work your way down, and you get all the way down the zip codes. I can't get it any more exact than that for you. So let me show you another tool, and these tools are endless. You need to find the demand first before you go out and reach out and find a motivated seller of vacant land. If you don't find the demand, you are going to waste a ton of time. There is a ton of vacant land across this country. You got to go where people are migrating to and people are looking for deals to buy in there. If you drop into Kansas, the state I was born in, I only lived there 2 weeks, you're going to have a lot of rural areas that there's tons of land for sale. They'll even deed it over to you as long as you pay the taxes. But what are you going to do with that land? You can't wholesale it, and they've already land banked it for 100 years and it hasn't worked out for them. So I need you to avoid those markets at all costs. Now, let's do this. I'm going to share my screen one more time. I'm going to even simplify this even easier for you. Wait a minute. Okay. Let's do present, share screen, and let's try Redfin. You ready? Now, I get nothing from Redfin. It's just basic data. So if I'm just going to do, I showed you how to use ListSource. 100% free. Don't get my credit card. Doesn't cost you anything. Just replay the video and just do it exactly like I did it and get really granular. Get down to it, because getting a city or a county, it doesn't really drop the pins on the map to figure it out. So on this one, if I just click buy here and land for sale, remember I'm doing demand research. Here's the really cool part. I'm not going into this real deep here, but check this out. Obviously, the east side of Tennessee is much more attractive than the west as far as land development. Now, that's just another tool you add to the arsenal. You keep stacking all these tools to find demand. And once you know where demand is, you can laser target in on the prices and everything else. And guys, I didn't even tell you, I like to keep land under 100 grand, preferably under 90 grand. So make sure you filter that out in any type of search criteria you do. So this can go on and on. These are leads you can actually do. The problem with Redfin is most of them are attributed with a realtor, which I'm not the biggest fan of, because realtors struggle just to sell houses. Selling land can even be more painful in my opinion, but that's not a diss on realtors. It's just a fact. So let me remove that from there. So if you have any questions on the demand part, now would be the time to ask, because I'm looking. Okay, let me finish up here so I can get to the live part. We're almost there, but here comes the real key part. Rick, how do I go online and find the deals now? Now I have a target laser focused area. And this is kind of, in my opinion, not the easiest part, but this is where you actually take action. Listen, doing research is great. Do it at night, do it early in the morning, do it on the weekends. Don't take your busy regular time because all it is research. And it's pouring outside. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to share the screen again. I know I'm sharing a lot of screens here. Hold on, I got to remove that. Stop screen. See why I have Zach do this stuff normally? I'm a lot slower, and he's probably watching me now laughing. Oh, well. So I'm going to go into listrei.com, aka PropStream. And now you can do a deep dive and you can use this and even go deeper. Now, obviously, you have to pay for the service. There's a 7-day free trial. You don't need it. I just showed you tools to do it without it. But let's talk about simply locating, like Rick, how can I go into one of these paid list sources and do it? So if we want to stick in, say even, I don't know, Hamilton just pulled up on here. And then all you do is go on the click filter. And then all I'm looking for is, you see this quick list choices, vacant land. I'm simplifying it even more and more every time we do this. Now, if you look on there, they got 20,000 pieces of land for sale, which sounds like really high for me. But what you have to do is go in and adjust your information. So the thing I'm going to look for is you can adjust the years of ownership. I would do corporate owned. I would do trust, and I would even consider mixed. Individuals do own land, so you can do it however you want. Just click the buttons and you have this data. And I forgot to tell you guys, on the list source, when you go in there, you have the option to export the information in an Excel file or a CSV file, and you can keep that for data. It's 100% free. Why they let this little loophole go on? They'll probably watch this video and shut it down, but use it. Honestly, it's probably the most valuable tool. I've used it to find cash buyers forever, and it's still free. And they just haven't changed it. I don't think they care. They figure if you use it, eventually you'll sign up. But remember, list source is a la carte. You got to pay for each list. So just that tiny little list I even showed you was $115. That shows you the value when you use companies like listrei.com and use batch, because it's all included up to the 10,000. But basically, you can go through these criterias. You can get a list. If you want to sort out the ones non-MLS, I just find it much easier to deal directly with the owner. So I'll put off market, and then you can go through and set ownership. If you want to make sure they own it at least a minimum 3 years, you can do that and see as the number goes down there. And then you simply export this list. And then we go to the last part. I could do these like services all day with you guys, but I can't talk to you if I do this the entire time. And I really want to talk to you guys. So let me take this off here. And so the last part is, think about this. So you find a motivated seller, you figured out the demand, you decided to cold call, you decided to text. I don't care what you decided to do, but you decided to take action. RVMs, whatever it is, just make sure it's legal in your state. And now you come down and go, Rick, how do I make an offer, right? How do I make an offer on this stuff? I'm telling you, this is where most of you drop the ball. You guys overthink your offers, especially on land. Land is simpler than houses. You don't have to value the piece of property on there. It's just the land. Here's the secret. If it takes you more than 5 minutes to figure out a value, you're wasting your time. Why? Because you have to find people with motivation that need to sell their house that don't want to. Everybody wants to sell their house. Only few need to sell. Now remember, it's a vacant lease piece of land, so they're going to be less emotionally tied to it. A lot of times, it's just purely timing. How do I make my timings perfect? Here's the cure to timing. Call or text a lot of people. Get the deepest list you possibly can and consistently make an effort 6-7 days a week. And you don't have to complicate this. You don't need dialers. You don't need all this fancy stuff. You just have to consistently reach out. But Rick, how much do I offer them? Here's the problem. Land is all over the board. So you guys know I teach the go for no. I teach you the LAO, least allowable offer. Remember, you want to make your first offer to snuff out that motivation as fast as possible. Because remember, MCTP is not nearly as effective when you deal with land. They don't have an emotional attachment. You already know the condition of it. It's got trees, it's got grass, it's got dirt. The time frame, that's the only thing you need to figure out, and price. Time frame and price, because the motivation is going to be if they need to sell it or not. How do I know that? Making them offer. So if you think the piece of land is worth $35,000, it's real simple. Just go way below that and try to snuff out if they have interest in selling it. So if they say 35, I might say, listen, I can give you an offer of 18,000. Does that work for you? And just, I don't know, I can never take that less. I'm not going to take less than 22.5. Now, if you've done your valuations, do the number, and it's even close, you can put them on the contract over the phone. I actually send them a DocuSign, have them sign. I ask for a 90-day inspection, and then I'm going to go out and hunt for a cash buyer like my life depended on it, and I'm going to make the spread in between. That's it. Stop. If it's worth 35 grand, stop trying to make the perfect offer. 27,982. Who cares? Honestly, if they're not motivated, you're not going to get a good deal. And unless you want to make like tiny little commissions that are less than realtors, stop offering them close to retail price. You're wasting your time. And stop spending 2 hours trying to figure out a valuation of it. Here's a simple, this is the only time the 70% rule works. Don't offer more than 70% of the value that so if it's 30 grand and it's 70%, offer them 21,000. Maybe add another 1,000 to it. That's why I came up with 22. It's really that simple. Why? Because if you offer them close to 33, 35, you're not going to make any money. It's just a waste of time. So unless you want to play realtor, stop trying to make the perfect offer because it doesn't exist. Use your first offer to snuff out their intent to sell the property. Now, this is different in house. People are emotionally charged with houses. I get it. So if you can build the rapport and build that conversation, that's going to be your key into making these lower offers and keeping them on the phone. And sometimes people are so detached, they don't care. And you've got to accept that and move on with it. And I'm perfectly fine with it. So don't complicate it. In my perfect world, I'd offer 50, 60%, and then I would stop at 70 and move on. But if you have a buyer already lined up and they've bought properties in that area and you've established what they're selling for, then you could be much more aggressive. But in the beginning, you don't have that option because you're brand new. Remember, you're buying these houses with little to no money of your own, and you're assigning the contract and the rights. You have to have time built into it. And here's the cool part. You can do this anywhere in the United States. I don't teach it outside the United States because the laws are very, very different. It's hard enough with the frickin' 50 states and all the different laws for closings and stuff like that. But guys, honestly, this is simple as it gets. I love raw land. To be honest with you, I didn't do it when I first started out because I just thought it was a waste of time. And boy, and I bought a lot of land that came with the property, and then I gave it away at first, and then I started figuring out how to outparcel it, how to sell it, and actually how to trying to find the value in it. And honestly, some of my biggest checks have come from land. And what I love most about land is it requires little to no capital at all. So most of these properties, I obligate them with $100 or less. That's it. And I usually keep it in escrow at my title company. And I never see the seller. I never see the buyer. And if you want to go crazy and do this virtually, it's one of the best ways to do it. In my personal opinion, I would do both. I would do vacant land and I would do single family houses. I also do multifamily too, because you need a ton of leads to get started in this business and start to make money. And you're going to cut your teeth in the first 2 years in doing this. Honestly, it's really the first year. And after that, you just go crazy with it. But I love vacant land. And it took me a while to come around to it just because honestly, I didn't understand it. And then when I found out, I go, this is actually easier than houses. It's just less profitable. So I got to do more. So my average land deal is anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. I've done much bigger ones, but I'm telling you the average. And the advent of technology today to do virtual stuff, the entire country is open to you. Now, single family houses doing virtual is a little bit more challenging. There's a lot of different factors in there because sometimes you got to get boots on the ground and it's a real balancing act. And for that reason, to get land, you can just get up and running. And you've got to make sure you make your offers below what they're worth, because the worst thing you do is if piece of land's worth 35 and you offer 33, where are you going with that? You're not going to make $1,000 or $2,000 because your buyer wants somewhat of a discount too. And my big recommendation is try to find them without realtors, because once they're on the market, they're already established and it's hard to get around that with your end buyer. So guys, that is everything I have on. That is my condensed version of wholesaling vacant land. It works. Number one, you have to find the demand. And I gave you the tools. I gave you the most specific tool. And it's 100% for free. But guys, there's Trulio, there's Zillow, there's Redfin, there's ListSource. You can use listrei.com. You can use Batch. Guys, it's endless. What I don't want you to do is spend like 5 weeks researching it. If you spend more than a couple days researching it, you're doing it wrong. It means you're scared to take the action, to actually do the actions that are actually going to make you money. And that's what you have to understand in this business.